Good day everyone, Dr. Polaris here. The Kagu is a highly unusual, almost flightless bird, which due to its startling ash-white plumage is known locally as the ghost of the forest, and is endemic to the Pacific islands of New Caledonia. It is the only surviving member of the genus Rhynochetos jubatus, although a second species has been described from the fossil record. Measuring 55 centimetres in length, it has pale grey plumage and bright red legs. Kagus spend their days on the forest floor, where they hunt invertebrate prey and build nests made of sticks. Both parents share incubation of a single egg, as well as rearing the chick. There is little sexual dimorphism beyond a difference in the amount of barring in the primary feathers. It possesses powder down, which helps to keep it dry and insulate the bird in the extremes of New Caledonia's tropical climate. They also possess a feathered head crest, which is used to display to other members of the species, and is barely noticeable while at rest, but can be erected and fanned out when necessary. It has large eyes, positioned so that they give good binocular vision, which is helpful in finding prey in the leaf litter and seeing in the gloom of the forest. It possesses nasal corns, structures covering its nostrils, which are a feature not shared by any other bird. These are presumed to prevent particles entering the nostrils while probing in soil during feeding. Another unique characteristic of the species is that it has only 1/3 as many red blood cells and 3 times more hemoglobin per red blood cell than is usual in birds. The Kagu is endemic to the forests and shrubland of New Caledonia. Within that island group, it is restricted to the main island of Grande Terre. There is no evidence that it occurred on the Loyalty Islands, although fossil remains of the extinct lowland form, R. aurearis, have been found on the Ile de Pine. The Kagu is a habitat generalist and able to exist in a range of different forest types if the proper prey is available, from rainforest to drier lowland forests. Kagu are territorial, maintaining year-round territories of around 10 to 28 hectares. Within the territory, the pairs are solitary during the non-breeding season, and may have separate but overlapping foraging areas. Kagus make a range of distinct sounds, most commonly while duetting in the morning, each duet lasting about 15 minutes. Territorial disputes may be resolved by fighting using wings and bills, and in the wild this seldom results in serious injuries. The Kagu is exclusively carnivorous, feeding on a variety of animals, including annelid worms, snails, and lizards being the most common. Also taken are larvae, spiders, centipedes, and insects such as grasshoppers and beetles. The majority of its diet is obtained from the leaf litter or soil, with other prey items found in vegetation, old logs, and rocks. Sometimes Kagu will hunt small animals in shallow water. Their hunting technique in this instance is to stand motionless on the ground or from an elevated perch, and silently watch for moving prey. They may stand on one foot and generally move the leaf litter with the other foot in order to flush out the prey. Having located its target, they will move towards the animal and stand over it, ready to strike, or make a dash towards the prey from their watching location. If digging is required to obtain this item, it will be done with the bill, as the feet are not used to dig or scratch away debris. Kagus are monogamous breeders, generally forming long-term pair bonds that are maintained over many years, even possibly for life. Kagu can be long-lived, with birds in captivity living for over 20 years. A single nesting attempt is made every year, although should the first nesting attempt fail, a second could be made. A simple nest is constructed, which is little more than a heaped pile of leaves and sticks, although in some cases the egg may be laid directly on the ground. The nest is not concealed, but is usually near a tree trunk, log, or low vegetation. A single grey, slightly blotched egg is laid, which weighs 60 to 75 grams. Incubation duties are shared by both parents. Each bird will incubate the egg for 24 hours at a time, with the changeover occurring around noon each day. During each incubation stint, the parent will remain on the egg the whole time, except early in the morning, when the bird will briefly move away to call to its mate and occasionally forage quickly. The incubation period lasts for 33 to 37 days, which is long considering the small size of the egg. Offspring may remain in the parent's territory for many years after fledging, sometimes up to 6 years. These chicks do not help in incubating the eggs or raising their younger siblings, but nevertheless improve the breeding success of the parents. The older offspring do apparently help in territory defence, responding to playback of rivals and also participating in territorial fights, and it has been suggested that this should be treated as a form of cooperative breeding. The Kagu's relationships to other birds are not well resolved. It was long thought of as one of the most enigmatic birds, and in more recent times has usually been allied with gruiforms. When seen as a gruiform, the Kagu is generally considered related to the extinct adspills of New Zealand, and also to the sunbittern from Central and South America, which I have covered on this channel before. Recent studies do indicate that the sunbittern is the closest living relative of the Kagu. This broader group is known as Euripigiforms, and includes the similarly mysterious pelagic tropic birds. Although this lineage is only known from the southern hemisphere today, fossils from the famous Messel shale of Germany, dated to the Eocene period, have been referred to this group, particularly the genus Messalornis. From this evidence, we can infer that Euripigiforms originated in Eurasia during the Paleogene, before spreading southwards at some point after the Eocene. While the Kagu is the only living species in the family Rhynochetidae, a larger species, the lowland Kagu, has been described from Holocene subfossil remains. The measurement of this species was 15% larger than Rhynochetos jubatus, with no overlap in measurements except for those of the forelimbs. Given that the sites which this fossil bird have been discovered at are all lowland areas, and that no fossils of Rhynochetos jubatus have been found in these sites, the scientists that describe the fossils have suggested that they may represent highland and lowland species respectively. The larger lowland Kagu is one of the many species to have become extinct in New Caledonia after the arrival of humans. The Kagu's initial decline was caused by subsistence hunting. The bird was trapped extensively for the European pet trade and for museums and zoos until it was afforded protection. It is threatened by introduced cats, pigs and dogs. New Caledonia lacked mammals except for bats before the arrival of humans, and many of its native species have been negatively affected by introduced mammals. Rats have a big impact on nestlings, accounting for 55% of nestling losses. Kagus also suffer from habitat loss caused by mining and forestry. Concern was first raised about the future of the Kagu in 1904. A visiting American scientist noted in 1948 that the extinction of the species was probable, and identified the many threats the species faced. The first concrete evidence of the impact of dogs came when a New Zealand researcher's study population of the birds was quickly exterminated by dogs in the 1990s. Although suspicions about the importance of dogs and other predators had been voiced before this, and dog control measures had been enacted in some areas since the 1980s. The Kagu is officially listed as endangered and enjoys full protection in its home. It has been the subject of dedicated conservation efforts, and is receptive to ex situ conservation. Recent research has shown that naturally occurring heavy metals in the soil may affect Kagu through their food supply. Kagu in areas where soil levels of heavy metals were low laid more eggs, and had higher numbers of fledglings. The Kagu has an important role in the traditional lives of the Kanak tribes of New Caledonia. Among the tribes found in the vicinity of the Hingene in the north of Grande Terre, its name was incorporated into people's personal names. Its crest was used in the headdresses of chieftains, and its calls were incorporated into war dances. The species was not described by Europeans until the French colonisation of New Caledonia in 1852, and was not officially described until a specimen was taken to the Colonial Exhibition in Paris in 1860. This led to a surge in scientific interest in the species, which resulted in many birds being trapped for museums and zoos. The species was also trapped for food and was considered a delicacy by European colonisers. It was also fashionable at one point to own these birds as pets. A campaign was run from 1977 to 1982 to phase out the pet trade in these birds. Today, the Kagu is considered very important in New Caledonia. It is a high-profile endemic emblem for the territory. Its distinctive song used to be played to the nation every night as the island's TV station signed off the air. Its survival is considered important for the territory's economy and image. Let us hope that this local importance ensures the survival of this unique and unusual bird long into the future. Thanks for watching, everyone. Next week I'll be putting out my last African cryptid video featuring the large, aquatic and bizarre trunco of South Africa. See you again soon. Cheerio.